I know this may come as a surprise to all of you who've been following me for any reasonable amount of time, but yes, I'm completely starting over in Forex trading. This is after a decade of trading, me having made millions of dollars in Forex and crypto and stocks, and I'm completely starting over right now. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I've gone to my charts, and I'm going to go to my alerts right here, and I'm going to completely delete everything. So everything has been deleted. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to pause all of these. So that way none of them are there. And then I'm going to delete all inactive and all my alerts are gone. So on the charts today, I'm going to completely start over. I'm going to draw every single thing from scratch. I'm going to show you exactly how I do everything. You see how I did this with the title of the YouTube video? It's like I'm starting over in Forex trading. It makes you think of something else. But then we come here to the video and I'm technically starting over, but I'm just kind of resetting my charts to do everything from scratch. So it kind of like, roped you in. Now maybe you'll stay for a little bit more of the video. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. So I'm going to start over. I'm going to do everything from scratch. This is exactly how I would do things whenever I'm looking at charts. And all these charts are now bare. There's nothing on them. So I can show you literally from zero to, how do we say, from A to Z. And on the good ones where there is a setup, I'm going to post them here in Telegram as well. This is my free Telegram channel that I've been running for the past 8.5 years. I'll put a link in the description in the pinned comment, but it's just where I share my analysis in here every day. I share the trades I'm looking to take. It's just a cool resource to kind of help you learn. There's 50,000 people in there. So feel free to join that if you'd like to follow my daily analysis. All right, first up, GBP CAD. You can see I'm on the daily chart on GBP Canadian dollar. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw any zones that I think are really clear, close to current market price. I see a zone down here. However, that's not really close to current market price, so it's not really something we should be worrying about right now. Maybe if price goes further down here, right? This is a daily chart. It could take weeks. It could take months. Maybe at that point we would worry about it, but we are pretty close to a zone up here. So we have that resistance zone right there, and we also have this zone right here where price actually seems to currently be at. So price is actually in this region where we've had multiple bounces before. So what we'll say here is we'll say this is probably the actual zone in here. And that right there was probably just a liquidity spike above the zone. It was an attempt to break out, came back to retest and continue, but it failed and it came right back below. So we can just call that, whatever. We can call it a fluke. We can call it an anomaly. We can call it a fake out. You call it whatever delusional thing you want. But this is the major zone right here. And then the idea behind support resistance is that price is either going to break the zone or bounce the zone, right? So one of two things can happen. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. I know, I'm a genius. You can let me know in the comments. Price is either going to go up or down, guys. So it's going to go up or down. The idea behind support resistance, though, is whenever we get into a resistance zone, we can sell at that zone. And then what I personally do, you do whatever the hell you want. Trading is risky and most people lose money, so you shouldn't be listening to anything I say. This is just for your entertainment only. Watch me lose millions of dollars trading. What I do personally is I set a stop loss just above the zone, and I don't mean like that. I don't mean that close where it's like just above the zone like that, and I certainly don't mean like 1,000 pips above the zone. What I do is I set a stop loss above the zone to where if it goes to the location of my stop, I'm very clearly wrong. So in this case, above the zone will be like basically right here, and then above that recent high over there. I say recent, this was in October of 2025, like 7 months ago. That right there, it's above that high as well. So that way, just in case price does in fact break the zone, it can still come and bounce there, and I could probably add another position there. If I structure the risk like that, I can allocate a little bit of a position to add right there. But I've got my stop in a location where if price is going to bounce anywhere in this region, at resistance, I'm probably not going to get stopped out on this trade, right? Even on spreads, even if I hold it over the weekend and there's a gap. So that's where my stop would be. And then what I do is I set my profit target at a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Okay, so this is how the trade will be set up. Very, very simple. And I'm actually going to be entering this trade basically right as soon as I get done with this video, because this is my phone right here that's recording this video. So we got to go ahead and finish up this video as expediently as possible, as effectively and efficiently and wholesomely and sincerely and sexily as possible. So I'm going to post in here, GBP CAD is good for sells. Generally, what I do here is I don't share the actual risk reward thing. In Telegram, I'll share the analysis. So it's basically just this with an arrow. And then in my actual trading group, it's a Discord server called the MFX Nick's Trades group. I've creatively named it MFX Nick's Trades because, I'm Nick and this is my trade. So it's Nick's Trades. You get it? Okay, so anyway, here in Discord, you can see I share all my exact trades with the actual entries, the actual stops, the position sizes, the risk, the margin, the management updates. Every single thing is shared live here on a USD CAD trade, which we're actually going to cover next. I closed it here in a small profit because I thought price was going to break up above the zone. This is the last 7 months of trading P&L history. You can see I've taken a $350,000 account to $825,000 after almost $200,000 in swaps and commissions. My broker loves me, and I sort of like my broker. I have a love-hate relationship with them. I'm not sharing the names of any of my brokers. Some people ask me what it is. I stopped sharing the names of my brokers about a year ago because I don't want to be affiliated with any broker after what happened to a lot of the brokerages that I used over the past 2 years from 2024 to 2025. A lot of them got shut down. A lot of them withheld client funds. A lot of them reported profitable traders for anti-money laundering. And then people came to me saying, Nick, I thought you said this broker was good, even though I'm not affiliated with any of them. So I don't share brokers anymore. I don't want any affiliation with brokers, certainly not the ones that are degenerate and unregulated. So with this USD CAD trade, I closed that in profit, and you can see right here I posted a thing this morning saying closing USD CAD early saved us. We would be in a loss right now halfway to the stop loss, but instead we got out in a small net profit. That's why I say that experience is what determines profitability in manual trading. And you can see it right here where we closed. It was like right in this region where my little thing is right here, and then ended up going up higher, and it looks like it's probably going to break above this zone. So we will see what happens with USD Canadian dollar, but this is where I post my exact trades. But here in Telegram today, there you guys got a freebie right here, an actual trade. And then I'll be physically placing it and calling it out in the Nick's Trades group at the end of this video. I'll be posting it right in here. And it's basically, I just take the trade, right? I post a screenshot of my terminal. I post a screenshot of my actual P&L. That way you can see everything. You see the margin used up and everything. And then I post, and that's pretty much it. So it looks like this right here, where I post that screenshot of the entry. I post a screenshot of the terminal P&L. Sometimes I'll put a little like audio message of it. And then I will share my actual risk structure. So I say I'm short on USD CAD, $50,000 risk, and then a new risk structure using this weekly zone. And it actually shows the entry, shows the position sizing, shows the risk. This was $50,000 risk for a $50,000 potential profit. And I just show it all, and everything's posted in real time live, A to Z. All this profit you see here, you scroll back the past 7-8 months here in this Discord server, you will see every single one of these trades on my trading terminal P&L called live with the full management updates time-stamped in real time. I do something almost no one else does. I call shit in real time because it is the only way you will be able to determine if someone's profitable, by watching them trade live consistently, time-stamped over an extended period of time. That is the only way you can determine whether or not someone's full of shit online. So for GBP CAD, I'm going to be looking to sell on this. This looks great. We're here at a nice little resistance zone. We're rejecting a little bit. The 1 hour still looks like we could edge upwards a little bit because it's kind of going sideways here, but we're kind of losing steam. We're kind of losing bullish steam into this zone. We're not really having any sell sensitivity quite yet, but we're also not having bullish sensitivity with triumphant bull candles breaking above the zone. So the whole trading analysis, right? You can skip everything I just said for the past couple minutes, and you could just say it's at a resistance zone. It is either going to go up or down. We can enter a sell at this zone with a stop above and a target below at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And then what I do is if it starts breaking above the zone or going sideways for too long, I just close the trade early. So that makes my average loss about maybe either break even or 1/3 or halfway to the stop loss. But when I have a winning trade, I hold it all the way to the profit target in most cases, like 80-90% of the time. Some cases I'll close a winning trade early, but that's few and far between. Most of the trades, when they hit the profit target, they actually hit the take profit order and they go all the way to the profit target. So that's GBP Canadian dollar. All right, USD Canadian dollar. What am I looking for on this? This is the only zone I see right here. So we've got a zone right there. And then what I'll do is I'll set an alert there. Now my entire analysis is done for USD Canadian dollar. That is how simple it is. We've got a resistance zone there. I'm going to fine tune this just a little bit. So if price gets into that little area where those highs are, I will look to sell. And you can see this is the same USD Canadian dollar trade that we sold down here. And then we closed early because it didn't look like it was working. The zone that I was using whenever I took this trade was this right here. I'm going to adjust it just a little bit. We had resistance here. We had support right there. And then we came up, kind of found resistance down there, but I mean, that's kind of stretching it, right? And then we came up here, found resistance again. Then I sold here again at resistance. So thinking that it might bounce like along that previous high where it did in the past. It doesn't look like it's going to do that anymore though. So I am not using this zone anymore. I am just using this previous little simple little high right there where it kind of bounced twice. Looks like a nice little daily resistance zone. So whenever price gets there, this is how it will look. I'll enter a sell at that zone with a stop loss above and a target below. We don't want the stop like that, but we also don't need to have it like that, right? So just like a good distance above the zone where if we're wrong, it's going to be a stop out. and it'll be very clear, and then to take profit at 1-to-1. So it might look something like this. Obviously, the exact trade could differ depending on the context and the moment, but it'll probably look something like that. AUD Canadian dollar. So if we're on the daily chart, and we kind of got to zoom out a little bit, because if we're zoomed in too close on the daily chart, right, you're going to start drawing zones like this, like that, like this down here. And there's nothing particularly wrong with that. I just find it more useful to kind of zoom out and get a little bit bigger of a picture. The only zone I see right now that I think is worth selling at is this little high right here. We had a nice bounce there from that high. This is back in 2021. Okay, this is back when I was a kid, guys. 2021, that was 5 years ago. I was a child, but I was 26 years old. And could we bounce here again? Sure. Have we already started to bounce a little bit? Yeah, we've actually had 2 pretty nice bounces here. But price hasn't quite got all the way up into the depths of this resistance zone, into the abyss of this resistance. So if we can get all the way up to that high, that would be a pretty good area to sell. And I'm not trying to be a hero, meaning I'm not trying to catch the next 1,000 pip move way down here, right? That's not what I do. All I do is I just try to catch the small, relatively predictable move. Nothing's predictable in Forex trading or stock trading or crypto trading or anything, because it is in fact gambling. You are placing a wager on an uncertain outcome. So the only way you make money in gambling is if you have a risk structure that allows you to make a little bit more when you happen to be right versus what you lose whenever you happen to be wrong. So the conglomerate of your winning trades has to outweigh the basket of your losing trades. It's a fancy way of saying you got to make a little more than you lose. That's the only way you make money in gambling. You can't predict anything. It's placing a wager on an uncertain outcome. So what am I going to do on this gamble right here, this gamble / trade? The stop loss, I'd probably put something like that. Take profit would just be a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. If price just goes and it has just the tiniest move off this zone, in this case 140 pips, right? 140 pips is a heck of a lot smaller than trying to catch the next crazy move of like 600 to 700 pips. That would be perfectly fine. And this looks like a pretty reasonable risk structure for me. So what am I going to do here? I've drawn this little shaded box thing. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to set a stop loss right there at that high. That's it. Very basic, very simple. Some would even call it sexy. On to the next trade. AUD USD. So in AUD USD, I'm looking here. It is very difficult for me to find anything clear. We've got somewhat of a kind of sort of resistance zone here, but it looks very, very sloppy and very, very not very defined, not very clear. You'll notice that, there's zones like this where, you're like, oh, technically it could be a resistance zone. I don't know. But then you go to something like GBP CAD and you see it's just super, super obvious, right? Every single time, with the exception of that one little, we call that leakage or a fake out or whatever, failed breakout through the zone. Every single other time it has bounced right there as resistance. This is the kind of trading opportunity that just presents such a clearer, easier risk structure, right? Because the zone is clearly defined. It's right there. If price were coming like all the way down here, we know that in the past, price has bounced pretty reliably at this region in here along the lows. We don't even really need the resistance zone from over here. All we really need is just those lows. So if we set an alert like something like that right there, we know, okay, we can enter there, we can put a stop below, we can put a target above. We're not trying to trade zones that are like this right here, where you're in the middle of price action, and then, technically it's a support zone, kind of, sort of, but we've broken below it, and we came back above it, and then found support, and we bounced here. Or you're using zones like this, where technically it's kind of resistance, and then support, and then we broke below, then it's resistance and support, resistance and support. I don't do any of that shit. The only thing that I do is I just use the most clear zones that are close to current market price, and then instead of my chart looking like a Picasso painting, my chart actually ends up just looking like a little 10-year-old child's drawing. And that may sound kind of silly to a lot of you guys, but consider the fact that most people are losing money trading. Low single-digit percentages of people are the actual ones that get profitable. I'd say anywhere from 2 to 5%. And the 5% is really being kind of generous. We can say comfortably 90% of people lose money trading. About 10% of people do not lose money trading, in my opinion, based on the evidence I've looked at. Forex.com would tell you 70% of their clients lose money, 30% of their clients do not lose money. If you trade with a funded account, like my Forex funds back in, I think, 2023, they reported that 0.25% of their traders receive a payout. That is 1/4 of 1%. So if we take somewhere in between, we can say comfortably maybe 5 to 10% of people do not lose money trading, but we know for a fact at least 90% of people lose money trading, if not a little bit more. And then the people that are not losing money trading, but then actually making a profit trading, that's anything significant and not close to break even, I would say that's low single-digit percentages of people. So I'd say anywhere from 2 to 5%, depending on what data set and metrics you look at. So by us trading like a 10-year-old, most people are not. Most people are using Fibonacci and moving averages, and they're using the fair value distribution gap, order block, liquidity, liquidation, SMC, institutional, Kobe steak, bullish, engulfing Wagyu beef candle. I do not trade any shit like that. I buy at support and I sell at resistance. I do things that most people are not willing to do, and I get results that most people never get in trading. And again, I do that live here by sharing the trades and analysis in Telegram, as well as all my exact personal trades in this little, you call it just like a live trading journal, basically, where I just share all my trades live in there. Everything's timestamped. So, I mean, it's very basic. I buy at support, I sell at resistance. There's no pyrotechnics. There's no mental gymnastics. There's nothing ridiculous and crazy. So when we go to AUD USD, we can see that, okay, yeah, this is a zone technically, right? But like, it's a little bit kind of a pain in the ass to kind of define. So for me, I just elect to not trade things like that. If we go a little bit lower, we can see that there's a resistance zone right here and kind of a support zone here. So we might be able to like pop up into this region and then bounce right there. That's a little bit better, but it's still kind of not as clearly defined. So what I'm going to do for now, I'm just going to leave this alone and we'll come back to it. And if we get into a trading opportunity here, we might be able to take it just with a little bit lower risk. So let's go ahead and leave this alone. We're going to drag it to the naughty list at the bottom, and we're going to go for USD CHF. So USD CHF. So one of the first things I see close to current market price is this little resistance zone here. That is clearly defined. We've got a resistance there, resistance here again, once, twice, you know, depending on what you want to call it. So maybe 2-3 times at resistance. And then we've got price kind of close. And we were recently almost into this zone, but didn't quite get all the way in there. This looks like a pretty reasonable area to sell at. So what am I going to do? I'm going to set an alert there. Now, I'm not going to enter if price comes here. I'm not going to enter if price comes here. And I'm not going to enter if price comes here. I'm going to wait for price to get all the way up into this resistance zone because that is the best spot to sell at. If you start doing some shit like this, like you sell below the zone and then your stop goes above and your target goes at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, it's a further profit target and it's more difficult and more of a pain in the ass for the trade to play out. You have more potential for loss because price could go up against you before going into profit. You have a longer trade duration and you feel a little bit more sad inside. And your spouse thinks that you're a complete failure and a loser. Your parents won't talk to you anymore. If you have kids, they'll completely disown you. You don't want to be in that situation. I'm not saying I've ever been in that situation, but let's just get back to it. If you enter at the zone, look what happens to your risk structure. You enter there at the zone. So let's just say somewhere close to this alert. The same stop loss, right? Same stop loss as entering way the hell down here. But instead, now we get to set the profit target at 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Look at how much easier that is to hit. If you're right about the trade, and if it has even the slightest bit of a bounce away from the zone, right? We've had bounces from this zone. That one was 400 pips. This bounce here was 250 pips. If we just get what this is right here, which is a like basically 75, 80 pip bounce from that zone, just the tiniest little like, you know, the 10-year-old move away from the zone. Oh, that's kind of weird to say. We'll just call it the small move away from the zone in terms of pips relative to the previous moves. It's a relatively small move away from the zone. That is so much easier to structure the risk from instead of having something like where you're having a shitty entry that is not in the zone. Stop loss has to be further, and then everything just doesn't work out as easy. This is what I will be waiting for on USD CHF. Now, can that set up? Yeah, it can. Is it likely to? I don't know. I have zero idea. I'm only right half the time. And the only reason I'm right half the time is because you can't predict which way price is going to go. And then therefore the only reason I actually make a profit is because when I happen to be right half the time, I make a little more when I'm right versus what I lose when I'm wrong. It's kind of like saying if you're risking like $100 per trade and then on the losing trades, like you win 50%, you lose 50%, but on the losing trades, you lose maybe like half the stop loss on average, sometimes less, sometimes more. So you lose maybe $50 on average when you're wrong, even though the stop was at $100 risk because you're trying to get out if it starts going against you. But then on the winning trades, if they go all the way to the profit target and you hold them there, those winners are like $100, right? And sometimes maybe 80 or 90 if you close a little bit early, but really you should be holding most of them to the profit target. So you win half the time, but when you win on the half the time that you win, it's like $100 profit. But when you lose like, 30 to 50, maybe sometimes $70 whenever you're wrong. So you're making a little bit more than you lose long term. And since you're using 1-to-1 risk reward ratios, you're not going to have losing streaks of like 10 trades or more in a row. Could it happen? Yes, it could happen. Yes, of course it could happen. Anything can happen. Is it likely you're going to lose 10 trades in a row at full stop loss with a 50% win rate? It's just not likely. So therefore, for my system, I don't risk like 1% per trade, right? I fund the account. When I started this account at $350,000, I was risking like $25,000 to $50,000 per trade. So $25,000 on like the trades that are like reasonable to take, and then like $40,000 to $50,000 on the really good trades. And now that I've actually scaled up here, I'm risking about $100,000 per trade on the really good ones, and about $50,000 on the trades that are still worth taking, but just not, like completely perfect. CHF JPY, you can see 50K plus 48K. I made $100,000 on that. I was wrong on GJ and AUD USD, and so I closed GJ GBP JPY at about break even, 3K profit. AUD USD was a $50,000 risk, and you can see I closed it early. I lost $25,000. GBP CAD, you can see right here, I made $52,000 on that, $47,000 on that. So this was one trading opportunity where I risked 100K. I have to break it up in two positions because my broker limits me to entering no more than 75 lots per entry. So that way I'll be able to get filled, because this is actually ECN, STP. So it's like my orders are actually getting sent to market, and I'm A booked and I'm not B booked. People you see online risking, like entering positions of 500 lots per trade. I'm not saying it's not real, but come on, make it make sense, brother. Make it make sense. So for this right here, I had to break the positions up. It's about 60 lots per entry, right? So $100,000 risk for $100,000 potential profit. You can see this went to the profit target area. That one hit the profit target, as you can see right there with the little green thing on the left side. This one, I guess the take profit was like barely like lower. And so it actually didn't fill the second one, which was basically the same profit target, but I guess it was like 1 pip off because it wasn't exactly set up in that terminal. So I had to manually close that one, but you can see it was still about $100,000 profit. So it was a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. Then you see right here, GBP AUD. I risked, I believe, 50K on this. I closed it a little bit before the stop loss. So I lost 80% of the stop, 40K instead of 50K. USD Canadian dollar. You can see on this one, I lost 10K. The risk on that was like 50K. You can see on these two baskets of trades for USD Canadian dollar, I risked, I believe that was 50K. It might've been 100K, but I can't remember. But you see, I only lost like 40K, like 37K, 40K. USD Canadian dollar, these two positions were the most recent ones I closed. You can see right here, the risk on this was, I believe, $50,000 in total. And then I adjusted the stops a little bit closer when I added to it, because I added to the position in profit, which was this one down here, the 70 lot sell. This at one point was in $25,000 of profit halfway to the target. Then it came back, and that's the one that I elected to close early, as I showed in the beginning of this video. So it could have been a loss right now because it did in fact go against the position. So it's actually gone higher from where I closed, which was like maybe somewhere like right in there. Now it's higher. So this would be like halfway to the stop. I'd be in like $25,000 of loss right now. But instead, I got out in a small profit. You can see the thing that I have in common here in my terminal. And this is the same thing if you scroll back through all my trading history, all the times where I posted here in my terminal, whether it's a win streak or a losing streak. You can see that when I win big. I win bigger relative to what my losses are. And when I lose, GBP USD right here, this was a $100,000 risk. You can see I lost $60,000. I know I say only $60,000, but keep in mind, I've made millions of dollars trading in all markets combined, and I currently have millions of dollars in trading capital to trade with. So I've allocated a percentage of that to Forex trading, and of the capital I've allocated to Forex trading, I put an even smaller percentage into an account, which is $350K, and then I'm risking a comfortable amount of that account per trade to grow the account, which in this case right now is 50 to 100K per trade. I have losses, so 60K. Then I have these wins right here for 100K on NZD-JPY. This was one trade. I had to break it up, right, because I can't go above 75 lots per trade. 100K on that. NZD-JPY, I lost 25, 26K on that. And then I had another win on CHF-JPY for $100,000. That is why I end in profit. That is why I have a net profit on my account the past rolling 6-7 months or whatever it's been of P&L history. And it always goes like that because I make a little bit more when I'm right versus what I lose when I'm wrong. I don't win every week. I don't even win every month, but it's okay because I only need a small win streak to be in profit and make back all my losses combined with a good, healthy amount of profit. And when I go on a losing streak, it's usually break even or it ends in small loss. And then I make it all back whenever I'm on a win streak. So for USD CAD, I'm going to wait for price to go up here into this resistance zone. Then I'm going to be looking to sell right there. And then I guess, I'll go ahead and put that here in the Telegram channel. Let me just draw this little sexy arrow up here to show what I think might happen and what I'll be doing if it happens. So I copy and paste this. And then in Telegram, I share, USD CAD will be a nice sell at this res level. Res level K. Well, I'll have to, let's just go ahead and redo that. I am a little bit detail oriented. I mean, sometimes. So I'll go ahead and, let me go ahead and just fix it up. I can't spell today. Probably need to finish my coffee. And then I'll go ahead and delete the fuck ups right here. Okay, cool. So USD CAD will be a nice sell at this res level. All right. So now we're going to go to the next one. So this is a USD CHF potential trading opportunity. So let's go ahead here. I'm just going to go copy link. Going to post this in here. And then I'll put USD CHF will be nice pretty soon if we get into this res level. This is why a lot of you guys love the Telegram so much. It's just because I post all this in real time. So it's just it's just a really valuable resource for y'all who have joined it. And again, it's free. Link in the description and the pinned comment. It's just a place where I share my trades live. I mean, just a place where I share my analysis live. And I mean, sometimes I'll throw you a bone. Sometimes I'll just tell you, like, listen, Euro USD, choose a good buy right now. But you shouldn't buy Euro USD. You should do whatever the hell you want. But I think it's a good buy, right? It's an example. So Euro GBP. This is a trade on Euro GBP. Look at how clear this support zone is, right? So it's bounced every single time we've been in here. Does that mean it'll bounce this time? Of course not. We don't know. Anything could happen. You don't know what the hell price is going to do. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. What we do know is when we get in there to that zone, it is either going to break below it or it is going to bounce and go upwards. So what I will be doing is if price, not when, but if, because we have to speak that way when we're talking about probabilities. You can't say when anything happens because you don't know if it'll happen. You have to say if, right? So it's a reasonable thing to say if we get into this support zone, I will look to buy. I'm going to set my alert into that support zone. My alerts generally go about halfway into the zone that I've drawn. So if we're drawing this zone, I'm going to set my alert right there. I'm going to put the zone just a little bit further down there. I elongated the bottom of that zone. I widened it to account for these little wicks at the bottom. And then I've dragged the zone up here to the top where all of the entries of the candles are coming into the zone and where some of the closures are. So I've just drawn that zone to kind of encapsulate price data. And then I've set my alert there in the zone. And that took me, what, less than 30 seconds to do? And it would have only taken me 15 seconds to explain. But, I mean, 15 seconds to do, but I had to explain it to you. So because I had to explain it to you, it took me 30 seconds instead of 15 seconds. You are wasting my time, except for the fact that I voluntarily chose to do this video. So it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Euro GBP will be ready for buys soon. And I'm going to put something weird in here. My sweet grasshoppers. Okay. Now, what is a sweet grasshopper? I don't know. It's kind of like a pattern interrupt for you that makes you pay a little attention more. You know, you're looking at these charts, these boring candlesticks, black and white candles going up and down, trying to make money trading, and you're stressed out about your life. And then you hear Nick Sean call you a grasshopper. It just kind of pattern interrupts, and you're like, grasshopper? What the hell does that mean? It's like saying people. It's like saying like, hello chat, hello people, hello friends, hello grasshoppers. All right, next up is GBP AUD. Do I see anything here? There are many people who think this right here might be a good zone, and I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that. I just don't see it to be as clear of a level to me. We have a lot of leakage below this zone. We had quick breakthroughs this zone twice back in this area. We did have a temporary bounce and a break below, and then a nice little sell at this resistance zone. I sold here at this resistance zone, and it resulted in a loss whenever I did that. So this was like 2 weeks ago, June 8th. What's it today? June 17th. So yeah, about 2 weeks ago, like 2 trading weeks ago. I sold right there. That turned into a loss. So, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything here at this zone. I personally don't see anything. So we've got nice little potential trading opportunities here on these zones up here that we've done so far. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take GBP AUD and just drag down further to the naughty list. Now we have Euro USD. So Euro USD is in the middle of no man's land. Some people would say, Nick, isn't that a clear zone right there? Well, you know, we did bounce here, and then we kind of dipped below it and bounced there and then broke and then came up and tested and broke above and bounced here temporarily before going down and breaking below. It's just more of a pain in the ass. It's just more of a pain in the ass than it's worth, in my opinion. You know what's better? Something like this down here. So let's try to like get this all fine-tuned. Let's just use both of these lows. That looks like a zone that is a little bit more reliable because you don't have to play these little mental games of like, well, technically it was resistance and then it bounced, but then it slashed above and it came back and the market makers found support there and the liquidity gap with the fair value distribution, accumulation, order block, liquidity, bank manipulation strategy. It's going to bounce there at the zone, guys. We don't have to play those games. You know what we can do? We can just say, look, it came and it bounced in this region like twice before. I mean, 2, 3, 4 times, whatever you want to count as it. And if you set an alert there, and when price gets there into that zone, you can just buy as support. And then, you know, if it bounces, cool, make a little bit of a profit. And if it starts breaking below, you close it, you take a little bit less of a loss. That is super, super simple. That is super clean. That is super easy. It takes almost no time to analyze. And then you just basically sit and chill, do whatever the hell you want wait for price to get there. And when it gets there, you can risk a substantial portion of your trading account if you want. I'm not telling you to do anything. This is not financial advice. That's a full disclaimer. This is just me yapping about random candlesticks on a chart going up and down. You are more likely to make money working at McDonald's. So do whatever the hell you want. I'm just saying, this is what I'm going to be doing on Euro USD if we get in there that zone. Euro USD. She will be good for buys if she falls into this support zone. All right, well, that's it for USDJPY. So Euro USD. That's it for Euro USD. Forgive me. USDJPY. Now, some people would say that this is a clear resistance zone. And they would be 100% correct because it is, in fact, a very clear resistance zone. The only problem I have with this resistance zone is the fact that price has been unreasonably bullish going into this zone. We've had straight uptrend going into the zone, very little sell sensitivity. I mean, we had this little sell-off right there, which that was actually pretty nice, but then we just straight up made some higher lows, and now we're coming right back up here in this zone, making higher lows. Every single dip away has been bought up very quickly. Like, those are huge bullish, like, rejection wicks. I don't know. It just gives me a little weird feeling. And this little weird feeling, if we're going to talk about it for a second, that is called discretion and intuition. I mean, you can say all sorts of things, right? It's my personal opinion. It's my subjective judgment based on the assessment of the price action of the context. I'm just using my discretion. I'm using my intuition as a result of all the accumulated applied experience over the past decade that I've been doing this shit. I can't believe it's been a decade. Started trading at 21. Now I'm 31. Wow. I feel like an old man. I'm getting joint pain now. And I woke up and my wrist was just screwed up for no reason. So, man, I'm getting older. Can't believe I've been doing this for 10 years. But as a result of doing this for 10 years, in my opinion, while it technically is a clear zone, I'm not going to be taking a trade. So it's technically a clear zone, but I'm not going to be taking a trade here. There's nothing logical or rational about that unless you ground it in the evidence that you've accumulated over the course of your years of trading experience that then yields positive expectancy on profits and your results whenever you're using your discretion. Meaning you use your discretion and then you win a little bit more and you save yourself from loss a little bit more. There's no way for you to get that except through experience. That's why, I don't really sell courses or anything anymore. That's why I just have my subscription here to my paid Discord server where if people just want to follow my trades live, they can come in here, they can see every single thing in real time, they can watch how it plays out, they can do an onboarding session with my team when they join. And I should speak to you first person, right? I should speak to you. Like, you can do an onboarding session with my team whenever you first join to ask any questions you have. And then once or twice a week, I do a live Zoom session around 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. I usually let people know about the day before if I'm going to be doing one, and people can hop on. We normally have maybe 50 to 100 people hop on. We've got a couple hundred members here in the Next Trades group right now, and people can just ask me questions directly, and I will spend as long as you need helping you. I will come down from my high-rise building, and I will extend my hand, my somewhat out of commission hand, but I will still extend my hand nonetheless, and I will say, Walter, I'm going to help you with whatever you need, brother. I'm going to answer every single question you have. I'm going to do everything in my power to see to it that you can become profitable. And you probably still won't become profitable, but at least you'll know how I became profitable. And then a portion of you are going to be able to get profitable because you're able to learn through experience, seeing everything play out live. You can also scroll through all of this in the past and you can see all the trading history, and that is valuable in itself. Even if you just join and you stay for a couple months to just see all the trading history, to document everything, to see how the decisions were made, the management decisions, the updates, adding to winning trades, adding to losing trades, getting out, controlling the risk, adjusting the stop losses. Those are all the little dynamic, nuanced things, all those little subtleties that make you profitable as a manual trader, because there's no systematic approach you can use to be profitable. The expectancy is zero. You're going to just break even long term if you're trying to be systematic and mathematical. That all sounds so good in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. In practice, the only thing that works is discretion, just like any other form of gambling. So, with that right there, we're going to go back to USDJPY, and that is my long-winded explanation of why, while it technically is a clear resistance zone, I do not like all these little bullish wicks here. It just seems like it's not worth a shot to trade. It doesn't seem like it's worth, trying to get in. I don't like that we've just been banging up here as all this bullish wicks. I think we're actually probably going to break out. Am I going to buy? No, I don't do that. I don't buy at resistance because we could still bounce, of course. If I buy here, I'd have to put a stop below the zone. Yeah, so something like that. Target above the zone at 1-to-1. And there's nothing wrong with this in theory. It's just not how I trade because I know when price is at resistance zone. Technically, we've bounced before. It could bounce down here. And so I know that that's like a potential opportunity or a potential outcome, and it doesn't seem worth it to buy at resistance. It's like selling at support. There are very few cases I'll do that, because there are some cases I'll do that, but it kind of depends on the situation. And this does not seem like something that I think is worth putting risk on the line for. USD JPY gets dragged into the naughty list, and then we continue to GBP JPY. GBP JPY, on the other hand, the last time we were at this region here, for some reason, we had a big drop. This was back in April of this year. So, basically the beginning of May. So about 2 months ago, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. I'm going to go ahead and set an alert right there, and I'm going to watch what happens if price gets there. That looks like it could be a reasonable area to sell at. So, yeah, I'll look and see what happens if price gets there, right? Price will get there. I'll examine the context if that occurs and if the alert goes off, and I will look to be potentially selling there. And I will post this in Telegram. But GBP JPY looks decent, not good, but decent for potential sells. If we get into this resistance zone, I just put res zone, and start to reject. Simple black and white charts with some yellow shaded rectangles and an arrow. That's all my analysis is. That's the millionaire Nick Sean trading strategy. Draw some boxes and some arrows on the chart, say a prayer, and if things work out, cool. And if they don't, that's cool too, because you lose a little bit less. CHF-JPY, this is one of them where you saw my trading history that I won like $100,000 on. And I believe it was pretty recent too. Yeah, so here at the top right here, you can barely see the $50,000 profit from the one just above, because it's shaded out, because this is my P&L trading history. And on my iPhone, I guess it just shades out whenever you go up above there. You can see $48,000 here, $50,019.15. Can't forget about the 15 cents, my friends. That was a $100,000 profit. You can see my actual entry was at 203.88. The other position was probably the exact same. So what is 203.88? Let's go ahead and find it here on the chart. So 203.88 was right here in this region. So you can see literally that was time-stamped, and you can see the exact order and everything. But that's 203.88. So you can see right here towards the right, 203.88. I sold at resistance. I had a stop above and a target below. This one fell and hit the profit target. Whenever you win, it is so simple, and the trade duration is usually relatively short. People look at me sometimes, they're like, Nick, you're trading the weekly and the daily, that's cool and all, bro, but like, I just can't sit in trades for that long. I don't want to sit in trades for weeks or months. My average trade duration is a couple days. Sure, sometimes a trade takes a week, week and a half, 2 weeks, maybe even more, but I can't remember the last time a trade took 2 weeks. It's been a couple months at least. Normally the trades conclude in a couple days. Why? Because I'm making sure to only buy or sell at the support or resistance zone. My stop is just past, and the target being at 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio means price doesn't really have to go that far for you to get your profit target hit. It just bounces away from the zone. And if it bounces away from the zone, then you, my friend, make a profit. And it's really not that hard to get your profit target hit, if you're not trying to quote-unquote be a hero and catch the next 10 million pip move. So that is the one that hit the profit target of $100,000. And guess what? If price comes back here into this zone, I think it'll be perfectly acceptable to try to sell again there at the resistance zone. So I'm going to draw this magical little yellow arrow of truth and justice showing that, if this happens, this is what I will do. I'm going to copy the link, and then also I got to set my alert. So let me just set the alert right here. That's a pretty reasonable area for the alert. Let me just adjust it a little bit. Yep, so it's a pretty reasonable area. Stop will go above the zone, target below. Let me copy the link to the chart image, and I'm going to post it here in Telegram. So CHF-JPY. I'll be looking to take sells at this res. Again, like the last sell I took where I made one. I could put 100K, but it's more psychological, like punch. If I say $100,000 with the dollar sign, right? That's like, it's more like, ooh, 100K, it's cool, bro. But when you say I made $100,000 on that, ooh, it just hits better. The last sell I took where I made $100,000. Okay, cool. So it's CHF-JPY. Now we continue on to the next, AUD-JPY. And let me make sure I've got my alerts. So, yeah, okay, so I did set alerts on all these. Cool. All right, AUD-JPY. This is a pretty decent one for sells at this resistance zone. Basically the same thing as some of the other JPY pairs, but we just aren't there yet. So I'm going to draw my zone right here. I'm going to encapsulate a lot of the price data. We got 3 nice little highs right there. I'm going to set my alert about halfway into the zone roughly. And that's it. That's the whole analysis. There you go. 15-second analysis here on AUD-JPY. Then I'll put AUD-JPY will be good to sell if we get into this zone. My analysis, a lot of it's just planned out weeks and weeks in advance. If you're not making some amount of money from my free Telegram channel, I really don't know what to tell you. You must be a dumbass if you're not at least able to follow some trades that I literally plan weeks and weeks in advance, show you the exact alerts, make these YouTube videos talking about it 10 times per trading opportunity. Then it finally sets up. And then you just missed a trade. You're like, oh, I didn't know. I don't really know what to tell you. Like, I literally post like most of this shit for free. And then again, you can give back to the community by just joining my paid Discord server, and then you get a little bit more of that personal touch. Get a little, ask me some questions, feel special. If you want to send me a few messages in Discord every now and then asking me questions, I'll help you. It doesn't technically come with the subscription in my Discord server. Really, the only thing we guarantee is you join and you get access to the group, and then I just share my trades live. That's it. That's it. But me and my team try to go a little above and beyond, right? So we can give a little bit more than what the expectation was by doing the onboarding sessions. And then you can ask me a few questions in Discord every now and then. Not a dozen every day, but if you want to message me maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a week in Discord and ask me a few questions, I will happily respond to you. I will send you audio messages. And in some cases, if I just can't answer an audio message or a text, in some cases, I will just be like, hey, are you free for Zoom? And we'll hop on a Zoom call for 15, 20 minutes, just going over your question and making sure you're sorted out. I try to personally go above and beyond for my clients, especially the people that pay me. Those are the people that I take the most seriously because they take themselves seriously. They're willing to invest, put some skin in the game. That just means they paid for something. And then they take things more seriously. They take me more seriously. And then I take them more seriously. I take you more seriously if you give me your money to actually learn trading. And it's really not that much, right? I used to charge thousands of dollars for a full 1 year of coaching and everything. And we worked our asses off for our clients. This subscription is a fraction of that. And there's no commitment, right? You could do just a month and then you can leave. You can do 6 months, then you can leave. It's basically up to you until you feel like it's been worth your time. All right, that's AUD/JPY. So Euro AUD. The only thing I see, it's really far away, but it's just a zone down here. It's not even something that's worth, getting prepared for, because the last time we were here was back in May. So about a month ago. It could take a while for price to get back here, and that's if we go back there at all. I will go ahead just to humor you and me. I'm really just humoring myself. I'll set an alert there at the zone. I'll draw the little stupid arrow thing. I'll take the extra excruciating 15 seconds to do this analysis. And then I'll take another, let's say 10 seconds to post it in Telegram. And for this right here, Euro AUD. I'll just post Euro AUD. I won't even post wait for support to then buy. You know why? Because everything is shown here on the damn screenshot. And it's so simple. If you look at something like this and you can't figure out what I'm looking to do, knowing I buy at support and sell at resistance, and I've got the support zone drawn, and I've got the little arrow thing there. If you can't figure that out, I don't know, maybe go learn smart money concepts or institutional order block, market manipulation, bank trading strategies, and just try to make that work, I guess. If this is too complicated for you, go try to make something else work. So that's Euro AUD. All right, next up, NZD/JPY. This is a pretty decent one. We've got this resistance zone right here. The issue is we kind of leaked past the zone a little bit before that, and we've also got this kind of resistance zone here, which is still technically valid, but now we're bouncing a little bit lower into it more recently right there. I don't know. I think I'm going to leave this one alone. We've just got a lot of other good trading opportunities. I'm just going to drag that to the naughty list, and we will just avoid that. NZD/JPY, I currently see nothing. And if there's nothing clear, if there's nothing painfully obvious, like some shit like this right here, where it's just clearly at a resistance zone. I mean, yes, we got a little bit of leakage there, but we were resistance, still technically resistance here, resistance. That's something that's nice. If you don't see anything like that near current market price, right, because it could take months to get up there here on the daily chart, just leave it the hell alone. We've got something like that, but is it this down here? Or is it like this up here with those zones and that's leakage? But then you also got to include that little recent high where it was broke and then it retested right there and then dropped. I don't know. If it's a pain in the ass, I just leave it alone, right? Because there's so many other good trading opportunities. And if you're risking higher dollar amounts and percentages per trade, you don't need to take every damn trading opportunity. It's cool. You can just chill and wait for the really good opportunities. I myself take 0 to 3 trading opportunities per week on average. Some weeks I take 0. Some weeks I take 1. Some weeks it's 2 or 3 or 4. It just kind of depends. But you're not taking a million trades a day. It's just nothing like that whenever you're swing trading. NZD/JPY goes to the naughty list. GBP/NZD. We could be setting up here pretty soon. We've got a nice, sexy, super clean, beautiful, somewhat tantalizing resistance zone right here at this region. So right here, I'm going to set my alert. Where should we set the alert? Should we set it down there where those highs are? Because we have technically bounced here and right there, and then there was these wicks, but we also got to account for these going up into here. What would be safer, in my opinion, is just, oh, I don't want to delete it. What would be safer is to set the alert up here, because that will encapsulate all like the wicks that go up there. It's just a safer area to enter. Are we guaranteed that price will go all the way up there? No. And of course, this could take months to play out. But I think that's a safer region to enter, just because that's where like the most extreme moves into the zone are. Because then your stop just has to go just above the zone. And then if it bounces, look how quickly those bounces worked out in the past, right? So sure, we might miss a trade if it just comes up there and then stops like right there, just like it did like during these times here. If it stops there and then it rejects, fine, we miss a trade. But it's a heck of a lot better to miss a trade and keep money in your pocket than it is to take a trade, then it ends up going in a drawdown, then you have to sit in it for weeks, then you end up closing it just to see it ends up working after you closed it. It's a pain in the ass. I choose to not subject myself to more pain in the ass than is necessary. So I'll be waiting on this on GBP NZD, and it could take a while. So I'm going to include that in the Telegram channel, that GBP NZD will be fine for sells here at this res, but could take a while to actually set up. It could take weeks or maybe even a month to get up there. We will have to see. All right, Euro JPY. I personally don't see anything here. We've got plenty of other JPY opportunities. We've got this little resistance zone up here, but I mean, we've got better opportunities in my opinion, like CHF JPY. It's really clearly defined, a really nice area. We've got 80 JPY, which is pretty clearly defined. We got 3 nice resistance zones in there, or 3 nice highs at the resistance zone. Euro JPY, I don't know. I think there's better trading opportunities. So Euro JPY stays here in the naughty list. AUD USD, we're back here to the naughty list. So AUD USD, nothing. USD JPY, this is technically a zone, remember, but I'm not going to be trading it, so I'm just going to take the zone off. We're just going to pretend like the zone doesn't exist. Poof, magic. And then we'll go down here to GBP USD, nothing. NZD USD, nothing. Euro JPY, these are all the ones that we've already covered that we did not have any good trading opportunities on anytime soon. So that leaves us with just these right here. And it actually leaves me to the point where I have to enter this GBP CAD trade now. So it has already gone down. So I have cost myself as a result of making this video, not entering immediately. I have missed out on a 10 pip move to the downside. I have missed that because I was here. I sacrificed myself so that you can have this video. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to end the video here. No, you're stuck with me for another couple minutes at least, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch my cameras. Okay, I'm going to do this little magical camera switch thing. I'm going to switch to my... Oh, God, how do I switch to the camera? Okay, let's... Okay. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to take my phone right here. I'm just going to end this little, I'm going to disconnect. Let's see what it does. Okay, so you know what? It disconnected, so you're just here on the charts with me now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter this trade live, and I'm going to actually show you in real time how I call it out in the Discord server. So I'm going to go here to my phone on the MetaTrader app. I'm going to enter a GBP CAD sell. So let me enter a sell. First, I'm going to put my stop loss. Where is that? 1.8958. So 1.8958. Okay, so I've got it there. And then I'm going to put my take profit at 1.8621. Okay, so I've got that. 8621. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter my trade here. And let me see, because I'm going to have to structure this risk. I'm going to risk $100,000 on this because it is a pretty good trading opportunity. So I'm going to enter. This is my first sell. And then I have to put another one right now. So I'm going to do that. And then you're going to see me posted here in Discord. So I'm just setting up the profit target. So I've had to layer it in 2 entries, each risking 50K. Okay, so now I'm going to screenshot it. I'm screenshotting my actual chart terminal. And then I'm also screenshotting my P&L terminal. And then I'm going to go here and you're going to see me posted in Discord. So the first thing I'll do is I will always post the actual chart terminal. So that's just, it's the chart showing my entry. So that's my entry there. And then I will post my P&L terminal. And this just shows the P&L. So it shows the 2 entries, the position size, how much margins chewed up and everything like that. So then what I will do is I will post I am short on GBP Canadian dollar. it's kind of hard for me to type because of my thumb and wrist is screwed up. I'm short on GBP Canadian dollar. So then I'll put, it's just a sell at resistance. I am risking $100,000 on this trade. Okay, cool. So now whenever people, let's say that you're in here, and let me see if I can actually get my camera back, because that would be super, super nice. I don't know if it'll come back, but it would be super nice. So that means that if you're in here, you can look at this and so you can say, okay, Nick took a sell right here. He put a stop above, he put a target below. And, let's say you want to risk 1/100th of what I'm risking, right? All you have to do is change the position sizing. So instead of 38 lots, you just do 0.38 lots, right? And then if you want to risk maybe $10,000, so that's 1/10 of what I'm risking, you just move the damn decimal. It's 3.8 lots, right? 3.86 lots or something like that. And that is the way to do it. And, looks like I'm out here. Yeah, we're out on the camera. There's no camera left. So we're going to finish this video right here. You can structure your trades proportionately if you want to take your trades. If you want to take these same trades after doing your own analysis. Remember, I'm not ever telling you what to do. I'm just saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. So it's like, so it's not financial advice. It's kind of just saying like, this is just, what I happen to be doing right now. And this is just posted live in real time. And then it's up to you. It is your fiduciary duty because your funds are in your account in your name or the name of a business that you own. And you're placing the trades on your account with your money, right? So it's like, but I say what I'm doing. So I am short on this. It's a sell at resistance. I am risking $100,000 on this trade. That's it. That's all it is. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off now. If you ended up hitting the like button on this video, thank you so much. That is super, super nice and gracious and sweet of you. And if you want to leave a comment and ask a question, just, post it. And then if I see any really good questions I think will be useful for most people to get an answer to, then I will respond in the first 24 to 48 hours. And then with that being said, I will see you in the next video, my friends. Happy trading. Cheers. Hope to see you in my free Telegram channel at the link in the description and the pinned comment. I love you all. Mwah. See you in the next video. Bye.